Good morning, everybody. This is Ned over at My Philippine Dreams coming at you from Dumaguete City, the city of gentle people. In case you're wondering why I'm speaking like this, it's because I just noticed that my lower teeth are very brown from drinking 15 cups of coffee a day and smoking cigarettes. And it looks like we are being photobombed or video bombed, if you will. I hope you're all well. We're doing well here in Dumaguete in the Philippines. We just had a tropical storm come through, but it was kind of a letdown, which is actually a good thing because it only was here about 8 hours. We got a bunch of rain, and then the rain disappeared. Let's talk about the costs of having a baby in the Philippines as a foreigner. As a foreigner. As you can see from the video title, so far it has cost me roughly 1.2 million bucks. That little monster back there has cost me 1.2 million bucks, because bucks is slang for pesos in some parts of the Philippines. It's only cost, something around $23,000, but it converts to 1.2 million pesos. And how do we get that breakdown? Well, let's get into it. Zoe, do you... Baka! 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 Baka, baka. All right, so let's get down into the breakdown. Basically, that cost that I'm talking about, I'm not talking about food, the Cerelac, the formula that we got when she was first born. I'm not talking about the diapers, which are a continued expense here, but shit happens, so you have to have them. Basically, what I'm talking about is expenses that I incurred even before she was born. And in toto, those include the price of purchasing a reliable vehicle, a car, if you will, or a truck. Ernie thinks it's not a truck. He considers it a station wagon, but I consider our Tucson to be a truck. And it also includes the cost of joining and becoming a shareholder in a local hospital, which gives us serious discounts on medical care. Yeah, because, medical care is necessary. All right. So the long and short of it, the truck is a 2017 Hyundai Tucson. It is a CRDI. It's a diesel engine. It came with about 20,000 kilometers, which is about 12,000 miles. For the entire time that I was in the Philippines, we didn't have a child. I didn't have a kid. So I had a scooter. And the great thing about being in the Philippines as an expatriate, as a foreigner, is I think nothing more epitomizes the simplicity and the ease of life in the Philippines than a scooter. They're cheap to get. I think mine cost 1,500 US dollars when I first got it. It's a Honda, so it's reliable. I've never had issues with it. And it's low cost. It gets like 85 to 90 miles per gallon. It's ridiculous. So you're making this video very difficult. But after getting married and having a child, I realized that I can no longer just have a scooter. I don't want to be that guy tooling around on a scooter with a newborn or a toddler or anything like that. If I was Filipino, that'd be one thing because they are the best motor drivers in the world. I'm talking motorcycles and scooters, not cars. But being an older foreigner in need of corrective eyewear, I realized that I needed a car to safely transport Zoe. So basically what it comes down to is I bought Zoe a car. Now, luckily enough, I got a good deal on it. It was a gentleman who had been here a long time. Matter of fact, he was one of the first people I spoke to when I first got here in 2013 at McDonald's. And he had sold his house. He had a beautiful house down in Darwin. He had sold his house. He was going back to the United States. So he gave me a deal on the Hyundai Tucson. So I got that for about 700,000 pesos, which at the time of the conversion was about 13,000 US dollars. Now, after having the Tucson for a while, I absolutely love it. I did a lot, like I said, I did a lot of research. I was looking for specific vehicles. I was looking for either a Hyundai Tucson diesel or a Hyundai Accent diesel. because according to JD Power and everything, they're incredibly reliable. They're good cars. They got a lot of power. They got a lot of safety features. It's really enjoyable going on long rides on it. And it also gets incredible gas mileage. Usually, like on long-term trips, we're getting like 19 to 20 kilometers per liter, which comes out to like 48 to 50 miles per gallon. It's also got air conditioning, which is incredibly important in the Philippines, and a kick-ass surround sound system. Now, when I first got here, some of you might, if you've been following my vlog for a long time, sorry, you'll know that when I first got here, I bought a Pajero. I bought a Mitsubishi Pajero, which was like kind of like a Jeep. It was also diesel. It was a manual transmission. And it was a conversion. It was one of those things that they chop in half. They import from Japan. They reassemble it here. Everything is backwards. All the controls are backwards. And I had nothing but problems with it. And I also got that truck because I had heard that there was a serious rainy season in the Philippines, and I didn't want to be, drowning as I'm trying to transport myself around. So I got the thing, and I ended up basically sitting in the carport for about a year and a half. We didn't use it that often. And when I did have to use it, usually the battery was dead or the electronics were failing or was having some issue or another. It also had this condition called Pajero morning sickness, which had something to do with the fuel pump, which was always having issues. But I don't want to complain too much. So I was actually lucky. I sold it to a gentleman. By then, it was in pretty decent shape. I'd done a bunch of work on it, and I was actually able to sell it for a little more than I bought it for. So when it came time to buy a vehicle for Zoe, I wanted something that wasn't a conversion, that wasn't chopped in half and reassembled here and all the controls were reversed. I wanted something that was reliable, and I wanted something that was safe. So I went with the Hyundai Tucson, and like I said, I absolutely love it. It's a beast. It's comfortable. And it's something that I'm going to keep basically until it explodes. Like my Honda Click. I've had the Honda Click since 2017. I'm going to keep that thing till it explodes. I'm so happy with it. It's got the power. It's cheap to maintain. Never has issues. It's always there. So it's something that I'm always going to have. Now, as for the additional costs, on top of that, I joined Dumaguete Ace Doctors Hospital here in Dumaguete City because of the benefits package that comes along with buying it. Now, when these hospitals are usually going up, especially with the ACE series, and ACE has like, I think 30 locations around the Philippines. They got like 30 hospitals. They got one going up in Bayawan right now. If you get in early, if you hear about a new construction going on, you can usually get it for about 200,000 pesos. And then as the construction goes on, it goes up to 400,000, and then it goes up to 600,000. I think now it's at like 800,000. No. So I got in, I didn't get in super early, but I got in at the 400,000 level. So I bought a block of that, and that gives you a bunch of benefits. Basically, if you are a member of the Dumaguete Ace Hospital, you get 30 days free room and board if you have to be inpatient. You get 50% off medical. You get 50% off any type of testing procedures like blood work, MRIs, ultrasounds, all that stuff. You also get free emergency room, free delivery room. There's a whole bunch of benefits that come along with it. And at some point, like with many other hospital schemes across the Philippines, they start paying dividends. So at some point, I'm going to make some money on it. Also, it's transferable. It also covers Chichai, covers my wife. She gets the same amount of benefits, 30 days free inpatient, a year, half price medical care, all that stuff. And it covers Zoe. And when I eventually pass on to the next realm of existence and I die, the actual whole thing is going to go to her. So she'll have the benefits and all that stuff. It'll be in her name. It's transferable to your wife upon your death. I always recommend people coming here to make sure that you got a lot of savings in case of an emergency or in case you're going to decide to start a family, because there are expenses that are going to be incurred when you do that. Now, could I have gone with a cheaper vehicle? Could I have gotten a Suzuki multi-cab? Could I have done something similar? Get a used Toyota Wigo, used Kia Picanto, something like that. Yes, but again, this with the Tucson, it was a long-term investment. This is something I'm hoping to have 10, 15, 20 years. It's a really nice vehicle. I'm trying to maintain it as well as I can. So I wanted to get something good. I wanted to get something reliable. I wanted the power to be there. I didn't want to worry about it overheating on a long trip. And I wanted 360 degrees of airbags in case something bad happens. And you don't get that with the Kia Picantos, you don't get that with the Wigos, and you don't get that with the multicabs. Also, could I have not invested in Dumaguete Ace Hospital and just hope that our medical expenses weren't that overwhelming over any period of time? Yes, I could have done that. But I've seen so many cases, and after being in the Philippines, going on 8 years now, I've seen so many cases where either another expat gets sick or their kid gets sick, and the next thing you know, they're on Facebook asking for donations, they're setting up GoFundMes, they don't have the money. So I think an ounce of prevention is better than a pound of cure in situations such as these. So there were certain things I didn't want to skimp on. I'll skimp on myself. For example, when I go back to the United States, when I go shopping for myself, I go to Goodwill. I go to Goodwill to get, clothes shopping. I go to Walmart. I go to Target. I go to all the cheapest stuff. I don't like spending money on myself. But when it comes to something as important as having a child, as having a family, this is what I've been saving my money up. And sometimes I used to ask myself this a lot, and friends would ask me this, why are you saving all this money? Why are you doing all this investing? Why are you doing all this stuff and not spending money on yourself? And I never had a real answer for that. But now I know the answer to it, because kids are expensive, families are expensive. But as I've said before, I've spent my money on a lot worse things in the past than what I'm spending it on now. Okay, and for those of you who are doing the math, and you can tell that 700,000 plus 400,000 doesn't equal 1.2 million, like I said at the beginning, and to reflect on the title of this video, the rest of it actually came from Zoe's birth. She was born in September of last year, and she was a cesarean birth. They had to bring in the anesthesiologist. There was a lot of stuff going on, a lot of doctors, a lot of specialists involved. Everything turned out well. And at the end, after all the deductions for PhilHealth, my shareholder discount, all that stuff, it came to about 89,000 pesos. And when I saw the bill, because again, when you think in pesos and you don't convert it to US dollars or UK pounds or whatever your local currency might be, it looks like it's a lot. But that's actually what I paid for my Honda Click. So Zoe's birth basically cost the same as my scooter. And Zoe is a lot more lovable and amusing than my Honda Click. So I think that was a good investment. So there it is, not including the cost of formula, going on trips, ancillary health care, diapers, all that stuff. The setup costs for Zoe with her Zoe Mobile, her Hyundai Tucson, which Chichai calls Capico because of the color, is about 1.2 million pesos. And like I said, I've spent my money on a lot worse things in the past. Again, just sharing my personal experience in the Philippines when it comes to the cost of having a child here. Feel free to leave your experiences down in the comments section. Puppies, rainbows, unicorns, and diapers for all. I'll see you next time on My Philippine Dreams. Peace.
Hey, if you consider our work to be of any value, consider supporting us on Patreon. If you're a Patreon, you get a free copy of my ebook, and we do monthly Google Hangouts. So consider doing that, if you would please.